Oh, hello. You caught me in my thinking space. Well, come on down. We're about to let you in on the daily update. And by we, I mean me. So here we go. Well, let's start with the diet update. Today, I weighed myself at 154.6, up zero point 0.2 pounds from yesterday. Not exactly sure how I got that high, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know. I felt like I moved a lot yesterday. Water weight, maybe. Well, let's move on to what I ate today. So today started out with 2 keto seed breads, 2 cooked eggs, well, they were supposed to be over easy, but I accidentally overcooked the yolks. Oh well. And 2 thin, crispy slices of bacon. The next meal had a lot of variety to it, I must say. There was cauliflower fried rice that I made myself. It was very good. And my mom made a delicious stir fry that included chopped up celery, mushrooms, zucchini, onions, and cooked chicken. And a nice sauce that included garlic and ginger. I give it a big thumbs up. It was very good. I had the last of the Ray candies, the fun size candy bars. There was 4 of them left, and I also had 4 of those peanut butter chocolate Chalk Zero cups. Next, after that, I had quite a few strawberries with whipped cream on top. At church today, I had a teensy little communion cracker and a teensy cup of juice. Don't worry, it was super small. Probably didn't affect my blood sugar at all. I mean, as far as I'm aware, I'm not diabetic, but I don't have the papers to prove whether I am or not. All I can tell you is I've kept an extremely low sugar diet for a really long time, and I haven't had any problems with passing out. So, based on that fact, I would say I probably don't have diabetes, but I don't know for sure. Got carried away there, didn't I? Also had strawberries with whipped cream on top. That was very good. And an A&W Zero Sugar. A 7-Up tropical beverage with zero sugar as well. What else? Oh, and chicharrones that were supposed to be salt and vinegar flavored. No salt and vinegar whatsoever. I'm pretty sure it was just plain old chicharrones, and they just labeled it a different label so they could increase profits somehow. I don't know. It seems like false advertising. Here it is, right here. Max Chicharrones. Salt and vinegar. It did not taste like salt and vinegar. Just tasted like regular old chicharrones. I feel lied to. But yeah, I had that with some homemade salsa courtesy of my mom, and that was very good. I really enjoyed that. All right, any exercise today? I gotta be honest, I was a total couch potato today. Or chair potato, or bed potato, various different types of potatoes. I was all of them. Probably not gonna look too good on the scale tomorrow. Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure I also had a spoonful of sunflower butter. It's a special type of seed butter. It was really good, except one thing has me a little concerned, and I checked on the back of the packaging. Apparently, 2 tablespoons has like 3 grams of added sugar. I'm not sure if that's like enough to knock you out of ketosis or not, but that's what's going on there. Good to be aware of that. I just need to have it to 1 tablespoon. I think I'll be fine. That would be like 2.5 grams of carbs, right? Because the total gram of carbs was like 8, or no, wait, 8, and then with fiber, it brought it down to 5. Okay, well, there we go. The diet update. Now we can move on to the daily update. So I woke up and it was 9, but in reality, it was actually 8:30. I missed the 30 and the 9, but I put it back in with the 8. Today is daylight savings time, which means everybody gets an extra hour of sleep. At least if you live, I don't know what locations it affects in America, but I guess in all of America. I don't know for sure though. I'm gonna go with a yes on that though for now. So yeah, it was nice to have an extra hour to sleep in before making breakfast for my mom. She wanted me to make eggs, toast, and bacon, so that's exactly what I made. Before I got started on that, though, I made myself a cup of coffee, and I got three Ray fun size candy bars out, and 2 chocolate and peanut butter cups from Chalk Zero, sweetened with monk fruit. I had that with my cup of coffee, and I watched the latest Digital Foundry retro video about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4. And the host of the video, a Mr. John Lennerman, did an excellent job breaking this video down and really going by like how people's perceptions of this franchise have changed over time, how people like got into it, and what their opinion was of the series as it progressed. Well, mostly just his opinion, but he kind of spoke for a summation of sports, video game sports fans out there. And he basically just went through the history of the franchise and how it developed and the different ports and games that sprung up from this era of Tony Hawk Pro Skating. It was a very interesting and very well researched video that I very much enjoyed watching. But after about a half hour, I paused the video and I got to work on making the breakfast. Of course, after finishing the coffee and the peanut butter cups and the Ray candy bars, soon after waking up, and yeah. So I made the food. I overcooked the eggs. They were more of a hard middle yolk. I prefer like a nice run, not too runny, just runny enough. Funny thing was my mom wanted 2 eggs. The nonstick pan I used only had enough room for 3. So when I was done cooking those 3, I just quickly threw an egg on top and cooked that after taking those 3 other eggs off and putting them on the serving tray with the toast and the bacon. And the funny thing was, because I wanted to quickly get this egg done really quickly and put it on, that one ended up being the most runniest one, whereas the other ones were the most hardest, which was pretty annoying. But my mom got the runny one, and she made comment of that. Yeah, this one's a bit on the runny, and this one's a bit heartier. I was like, yeah, sorry. I don't know. I guess I was splitting my attention too much between making the eggs and making the bacon and making the toast, and I wasn't giving enough attention to each one individually. Just a guess. I also had a cup of coffee, and I made another cup of coffee for my mom, and we ate together. It was very good. My mom offered my sister to go to church with us. She declined, so me and my mom left together to go to church. We once again had to go outside for the sermon. So what that meant was, it was a really nice day outside. Very breezy, very cool, very refreshing. And just being surrounded by like trees and leaves and nature while listening to this sermon was a real treat. I really enjoyed that a lot. Big thumbs up for me. Now, as for what the sermon was about exactly, what was it about? From what I can remember, it was about anything and everything that you do doesn't matter, and the only thing that does matter is being serving Christ in any way you can. That's what I remember. Yeah. I don't know. Something like that. I feel like we each have our own gifts and abilities that we're given, and we can use them in any way we see fit. And as long as, we're being good to each other and no one's getting hurt, So, yeah. But after the sermon, my mom decided to have chats with various people there. And I really needed to use the restroom. The restroom that I normally use at that church was closed, but there was an extra one. But I had to go into this faculty in order to use it. And the thing was, the church rents out this like school area to use. And the most interesting thing about it is that it just had such a retro, stuffy, old, nostalgic feeling. It heavily reminded me of the type of schooling environments that I used to go to when I was younger. And it also had another vibe of, I don't know, I'm probably like, I don't know why it reminds me of this, but it reminds me of like old point and click adventure games where you just go in different rooms and try to find like different objects in order to progress through the stage of the game. But in this case, it was like this school area with each room being a designated location and me trying to find the restroom, which ended up being in a really dark room. It was so dark when I went in, I didn't even know it was like the restroom until I turned on the light. And it was so dark, like it could have fooled me that it just went on to infinity. It was that dark. But yeah, after I used the restroom, I tried washing my hands, but the sink barely sprayed out any water. It was very strange. Like, you'd think, like, to prevent the spread of germs, you would make the sinks, like, have a good douse of water, but yeah, weirdly enough, there was like another sink in another part of the facility that I went to, and I mean, it sprayed more, and there was enough soap to use, so thank goodness for that. But it still definitely was not a steady stream. It was like a broken stream of streams going in different directions. It was really interesting. Well, after I got out, I went out and I said hello to my mom. She struck up a conversation with one of the people from church, and they came up with an idea of having a party at our house where we serve people food at like a sort of a New Year's Eve celebration kind of deal. And my mom thought that would be a fun idea, and she asked me if I wanted to be a waiter. I was like, well, yeah, I could wear a fancy little waiter's suit. And then someone said, nah, you could just put on a shirt with a waiter's suit printed on. And I'm like, I guess that could work too. Like, that'd be kind of funny. Yeah, I don't know. I like going 100% when it comes to stuff like that, but I guess it helps keep the atmosphere feel more casual while also still technically being fancy. Well, anyways, after my mom was discussing her plans with the different people from the church community, we left. I was really hungry. My mom was really hungry. We decided to stop near a grocery store to pick up some cooking supplies. I wanted to get riced cauliflower, and which is basically just cauliflower that's been chopped up into tiny pieces like rice. And my mom, I think she wanted to get some like cilantro and other things to make like a chili, or not chili, but like a salsa. But we ended up getting a little bit of extra. We got A&W Zero Sugar. We got 7-Up. But the thing was, we thought the 7-Up was the Zero Sugar when we got it. We later found out it was the full sugar one. Yeah, but anyways, and then we got Fresca as well. We got whipped cream. We got strawberries. And we got some butter. That's pretty much what we got. We bought the food and we left back to home. And when we got home, we just immediately started cooking. I made the keto fried rice. My mom made the stir fry. My sister chopped up strawberries. And then we put the food up and we were ready to dig in. I was like, oh, would you guys like a beverage? And my sister and my mom were like, yeah, let's have those 7-Up Tropicals. So I went to get them, and when I laid them on the table, I noticed the information on the back of the can said 140 calories, and that made me realize, oh no, we got the sugar ones. So I told my mom, hey, we actually split the bill when we went to the grocery store because we're going to eat equal amounts of the food. And I told my mom, hey, we're going to have to take these back because we can't drink these because we're trying to stay on our diet where we can't have a lot of sugar. So she was like, all right, well, we'll do that. So I switched them out with the A&W Zero Sugars, and we had our meal. And it was very good, very tasty, very flavorful. I really enjoyed it quite a lot. But for whatever reason, it made me need to use the restroom, and I was stuck in there for a while. As I was in there, I was listening to a guy go through a quick overview of the Samsung Galaxy XR, and he mentioned one thing that made me realize I kind of got gypped at that XR preview demo thing that me and my mom went to. And that was that apparently there is a way to calibrate the inside of the goggles to make it so that they align perfectly with your eyes. And my number one problem was I didn't think that the goggles were perfectly aligned with my eyes when I tried the device out originally. So, for example, like, I think you're supposed to see a completely clear and nice looking vision when you put the glasses on or goggles on, but mine had a slight like darkening effect to it, like a vignette-ish looking effect. which definitely took me out of the experience. Apparently, if you click on a button on the device 3 times, it scans the placement of your eyes and it changes the interpupillary distance of the device so it gives you the clearest image possible. And it made me realize that, oh man, I could have had a much more clear and better impression of this device than what I originally got. So when I found out about that, I was quite disappointed. Well, after I got out of the restroom, I decided to see if there is a store that is way closer to where I live that said it was having a Samsung store open a little later in the year. And I wanted to see, is it open now? Because I had promised my sister, hey, we could check this out together. And she said, sure. And lo and behold, it was open. So I was like, cool. Hey, want to go see this thing? And she's like, sure. So I booked another appointment for this device demo for this Thursday. And I'm hoping that the people who are going to give us the demo this time around are more well trained and better acquainted with the hardware, so we get a much more fair and compelling introduction to this device. Since I already tried it first, I will let my sister take their first glance of this, or her first glance of this device, so she can form her own opinion. So that'll be fun and interesting. Well, anyways, after that, I decided to let my mom know, okay, I'm ready, let's do this, let's take these sodas back. She was like, all right, but I also want to take some of our family friends' material that she's no longer using to a one of those stores that takes in old stuff and resells it. So I was like, all right, let's do that. So we took everything that we could, put it in the back along with the sodas, and then we drove off. We put the stuff away in these plastic containers to be sorted by the staff of the store we dropped the material off at. Then we drove back to the grocery store that we bought the sodas from. We went to customer service. They gladly accepted our return. And then we got the zero sugar version of the 7-Up tropical sodas instead. Once we got that, we purchased the product and left. And when we arrived, I asked my sister if it'd be alright if we could get rid of the chicken balls that were in the back fridge of the guest room, because they've been in there for 3 weeks and no one's going to eat them. She agreed, so she said she would take them out. So when I brought the sodas into the back, she threw out the chicken balls, and then when I got back in to the house, I spent a lot of the time just finishing the Digital Foundry video about Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4, which was very interesting. And then after that, I got carried away with doing my Infinite Jests little adaptation. And I decided to change things up a bit by going through each of the characters that were present in the room at the beginning of the book and asking Google Gemini to pull every resource and example of what the character is supposed to look like in the book, so I can ask ChatGPT 04 Image Gen to create as close of an approximation of what the character should look like. So I was basically, in a way, visually casting the characters for my scene, so that way I could have a good idea of what they're supposed to look like, and then later how to block the scene. Now that I have all the character generations, I'm going to re-listen or reread the beginning of the book. I'm going to do some extensive storyboarding from beginning to end to try to create a good visual rhythm and feel for the scene that will hopefully be very engaging to an audience. Well, then my mom came into my room and asked me if I'd be up for going with her to pick up a desk for our family friend. That was a lot like my desk in my room. I was like, all right, let's do this. So we left, we picked up this desk. Well, we were going to pick it up, but it turns out that the desk had severe water damage on the top of it. When we saw that, we had to decline because the whole point of getting that desk was, well, A, we wanted a desk that would be a bit higher up because our family friend may be returning back in a wheelchair and we need accessibility for her. And if, the desk is too low, which her current one is, she won't be able to get any office work done. But on top of that, there was water damage or lumps on our original desk. So we thought we could go get this new desk and replace the old one with that one. Turns out this one had water damage all over it. There was like lumps all over the corners and sides and everywhere. And we unanimously agreed that it just wasn't worth going through with it. So we declined picking it up and we left. I asked my mom if we could make a stop by the closest grocery store. I wanted to pick up some Quest spicy chips. The store I was in, it did not appear that they sold them. I looked everywhere where they would sell them, like the protein aisle, and I didn't see any. So instead, I got chicharrones and I got salt and vinegar because that sounded really good, and I've never had salt and vinegar chicharrones. I was like, ooh, this might be tasty. So we got that. When I got back in the car, I opened it up. I tried one. Tastes the exact same as regular chicharrones. I honestly don't know why they even bothered labeling it that. It was so strange. My mom tried one. She also agreed. Well, we later left and we arrived home. And when we got home, my sister was cuddling her cat, Call Me, while listening to Johnny Cash music, which was definitely a vibe. And she let me hold Call Me. And so I was holding and, roughing him up. And then I was like, oh, we're going to watch this movie that was suggested by my mom earlier that day. I forgot to mention earlier in this video, called Watch the Skies. I said, oh yeah, I remember hearing about this movie when it first came out, how it was a Swedish movie, but when they released it in the States, they used artificial intelligence and getting the original actors to redub the entire film from scratch with an English dub, but taking their mouths and like superimposing like the English like lip movements on top of the original footage. So it was I was really curious to see how that would ultimately play out with this movie. As soon as I mentioned the fact they used AI to help with the dubbing, my sister seemed to have immediately lost interest. I don't think like she's a big proponent of like AI anything when it comes to like these feature films. I don't know. I guess when she heard that, she was like, ooh, either she wasn't a fan of the AI thing, or maybe she just thought the movie was an American movie, and when she found out it was a Swedish movie, I don't know, maybe she lost interest. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to ask her about that. These are just my theories. But anyways, she left to go to the gym. And so me and my mom decided to watch this movie. And so Watch the Skies was quite interesting. It's like a film about a girl whose dad was a part of a UFO organization that was basically like MUFON, where they listen to any reports of potential UFO sightings and they try to find evidence-based ideas for what if they're real or not. And this girl, the last time she saw her dad, he believed he was hot on the tail of an anomaly or an event that he wanted to chase and find. And it was the last she saw of him before he inexplicably disappeared. And so she kind of became like a rebellious teenage girl. But she never lost sight of her interest in her dad or in UFOs. And when she believes she finds out a potential event that happens could explain what happened to her dad, she decides to see if she can get into contact with a lot of the original staff that her dad worked with from a organization called UFO Sweden to solve the mystery once and for all. That's pretty much what the movie is. In the organization, it's like kind of a rundown, stuffy old building with like different members, like the oldest one being a curmudgeon old man who is like completely disenchanted and jaded by years of like nothing but like, basic explanations. And the team like are all kind of misfits, and they see this girl who's trying to get to the bottom of this big mystery, and they kind of are like, well, we'll entertain it, but we don't think nothing's going to come of this. And then eventually they all start to get on her side and begin to she makes them feel like they're actually doing something worth their time and effort. And it's basically like a really like straightforward kind of adventure film that's supposed to fill you with inspiration, like hope, wonder, and intrigue on the mysteries that are unraveling throughout this film. It took me a little bit of a while to get past the AI dubbing. It was kind of strange at first, not gonna lie. It just was like, because I was aware of the whole AI dubbing thing from the very beginning, that's all I could kind of focus on for the first like 20 minutes of the movie. Like, oh, this kind of looks natural, but it also just looks weird too. But as the film progressed, I kind of got used to it and just started to get into the story, which is a pretty decent story. I mean, it's not earth-shatteringly original. It's got a lot of tropes in it, like, ooh, let's find out this mystery, and I want to believe, but no, knowing and believing are two different things. We focus on knowing instead of believing, because believing muddies the waters of actually getting down to brass tacks on things. And it was like a film that definitely felt like it was making commentary on like the war between like people who want to believe in like these anomalies and strange phenomenons, and people who don't believe in them and would rather rely on like being as close to truth as they can, or as at the very least like have the most logic-based explanations they can muster up. And that's pretty much was the whole theme of the film. And I thought it was very compelling in that way. I thought the main character was a bit brash and very in your face, I guess. But I really did enjoy how like the chairman of the UFO organization slowly started to warm up and see things with the main character rather than against the character, and how they kind of learned to bond and become like a good team by the end. I thought that was a pretty cool little change there. Yeah, overall, um, I thought it had a good heart. I thought it was very intense, very like thrilling at points. I will say it did start to drag a bit in the middle, but the beginning was like a good startup. The end did leave like a feeling of like wonder and awe and um, some unanswered questions that are like satisfyingly unanswered, where I don't need to know the answer, just how it made me feel and how it made me reflect on my own life was enough. And yeah, I'd overall give this like film like a solid like 7, maybe, yeah, 7, because and people when they hear that are like, oh, you don't like the movie, ooh. No, I thought it was good, but to me, films that are like 8 and above, they like have something that keeps me pulled in, that keeps me consistently entertained, that keeps me like wanting to see what's up next. Films that are a 7 for me, I can acknowledge that they do everything they can right, but there's aspects of them that I feel with just a bit more tweaking or with streamlining or smoothing or making the film shorter would have helped with pacing and would have made the film an 8. And I think that's my biggest problem with the film. Its pacing starts to become a little muddy by the middle, and my favorite films are the ones where I'm just entertained from beginning to end. And this one, I was entertained a bit at the beginning, and I was entertained a bit at the end. And the middle, I was just kind of like, okay, like I see what you're doing, but I'm not like fully on board with it. So yeah, that's why I give it a 7. All right, well, after watching that movie, I cracked my mom's back. She left into her room, and then I started going on my phone to do some research on the Stephen Greer website, like disclosure.com, where apparently he's got like a bunch of different files of like, UFO like reports and stuff. And I was like taking a picture of some of them and like turning them into like a PDF file on my phone that I could use to help turn into like a little audio for me to listen to while I just walk or do things like that for my own like private use. And then I was like, oh yeah, I should probably make my new video. So here it is. Yeah, overall, I would say today was fairly relaxing. It was a really relaxing day. There was some things that got done. Were they big things? Not exactly, but they were little nudges. And overall, I did enjoy a good chunk of my time overall. Almost forgot to mention that as we were watching the movie, my cat Avery was sitting on my lap, and we were like messing with him, me and my mom, like patting him on different sides. He would switch his like head back and forth, like looking confused and like, hey, why are you doing that? So that was pretty fun. And yeah, that's pretty much the day in a nutshell. Well, after I'm done recording this, I'm going to listen to that UAP report as I'm getting ready for bed. I'm going to take my vitamins. I'm going to brush my teeth. And I'm going to sleep. Tomorrow I work from 1 to 10 again. And it's going to be a good day. I know it. So thank you for watching. And I will see you tomorrow. Good night and goodbye.